Alright, so Dynasty Warriors Origins is on the horizon.
Someone must act.
And I think it's a good time to talk about the things I want to see in Dynasty Warriors Origins. I made a video about the top 10 things I want to see in like Dynasty Warriors 10. But Dynasty Warriors Origins is going to be so different from the numbered main games that I feel like it needs a separate list that still applies to it from what we've seen so far, and then taking into account everything that went wrong with the previous Dynasty Warriors game. Most of the things on this list, I'm assuming from what we've seen, it's not going to happen. But you never know. I could be wishful thinking, and then, they end up adding something. We're going to start off with an honorable mention that's definitely not going to be added. I 100% know it won't. If it does, I would be hella shocked and surprised, but I doubt it's going to happen at all. The first honorable mention I want to talk about, one of the things I want to see in Dynasty Warriors Origin is a hardcore mode. So if any of you guys have played Fallout New Vegas or Fallout 4, they have the survival and the hardcore mode. And both of those modes basically just amp up the game to another level that makes it more like worthwhile to play. Because that game is more survival, that's kind of what it goes towards. But for Dynasty Warriors, it would be nice to see that like every mistake you make is capped. If you die, maybe something happened, maybe you get like reset to a certain checkpoint, you're in a tent or something, and you get woken up by someone, they're like, oh, General Guan Yu has fallen, or he's injured, you gotta go save him, you try to do it again, you fail, he dies, stuff like that, where the story continues to move forward, and no matter what you do, it affects the story in a certain way. You get another chance or two to like save somebody or complete an objective, but if you fail more than twice or 3 times, that becomes permanent, and it affects your entire story moving forward. They're not going to do this. It would take quite the resources and thinking ahead and building an interactive story in order for that to happen. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and jump into my picks for the top 10 things I want to see in Dynasty Warriors Origins. First things we're going to start off with at number 10 is, just to get it out the way, it's probably going to happen anyway, no cheap DLC moves. So don't take away everyone's weapon just to resell them. I mean, characters got their weapons back, right? We got Zenji with the flute on the DLC, Zhang He with his claws, Shu Shu with his sword and hook, Lin Chi got her crosspike. Like, they got the weapons in Dynasty Warriors, not in Empires. So if we go into Origins, and I know they're revamping some of the characters in terms of the way they look and all that, but if they take away their weapons and then resell them again as DLCs, I'm gonna be pissed, because that's just not cool. New weapons, new outfits, new characters, new stages. I don't necessarily think they should charge us for those things, but if they want to, at least it's new content. Paying for the DLCs for Dynasty Warriors was fine. Added new hypothetical stories, those are cool, okay, fine. But repackaging old material and then selling it to us is just not the coolest thing. So hopefully stay away from doing the cheap sales that they usually do. And don't make it so expensive. Like, I bought the first season pass thinking that was the only season pass for Dynasty Warriors 9. They had 2 more season passes. Like, it was like $45 each. Insane. Please don't do anything like that. Alright, moving on to number 9. Kind of piggybacking off of my honorable mention, but it would be nice to see different endings based on what you choose. I'm pretty sure we're going to get this anyway, but hopefully it's not so standard, or it's not so basic. Like, you don't, like, let's say you go with Wu or Sun Jian, and by the time you get to the end of whatever the story is, it's the same cutscene and the same ending because it's Wu or Wei or Shu, you know what I mean? It would be cool to see different endings depending on what you complete. But that would be cool for this, depending on what you do, who you befriend, who you betray, what you choose, your might, all that stuff. So it would be cool to see different endings based on what you choose in the new Dynasty Warriors Origins, but we'll see what they do. Moving into number 8, this is off of the gameplay that I've seen so far. So I'm hoping they go for a more battlefield feel versus a chaotic feel. So what I'm seeing so far is extremely chaotic. And I guess that's fine because the battlefields are supposed to be chaotic. It just didn't feel as like a battlefield. It just felt like a chaotic swing your sword and hit people, do the big one that blows up 200 people and clears everybody out the way. I'm just not a big fan of the big anime swings and killing 400 people at once, and it just takes away from the battlefield feel. It's more of a anime type feel. It's more of a swing, sweep in, and then you focus on your 1v1 versus the remaining general, the guy you can't just sweep away with one shot. So I'm hoping that they go and refine that a little bit. I don't mind charging in with your allies, but people break off, and it needs a more battlefield feel. I'm sure you guys know what I mean. But next up, coming in at number 7, yeah, I think it's a good thing to put in. I'm sure they're gonna have a version of it, but I don't know if it's going to tailor the way that maybe I'm thinking or maybe you guys are thinking. But number 7, I have free mode, and I'm hoping that free mode gives us not just the ability to play as like Guan Yu or the other characters, but like even if it's like a small thing. I know the focus is on this nameless guy, but even if it's like a small like 2-stage, 3-stage thing for the characters that are available, that would be great. Guan Yu at Yellow Turban, Hu Lao, we get to see things that of course has been told a million times, we've seen it before, but to give us those options just to play a little bit of our favorite characters, would be really cool in the free mode, because the main story is obviously about the guy, but it would be cool just to have that little leeway in playing our favorite characters from that perspective. Next up, coming at number 6, I don't think it's going to happen. Just from the gameplay I've seen, I just don't think they're going to change it, even if they aren't super late in development, just because of what they're trying to potentially experiment with Dynasty Warriors Origins, and that's peon significance. There is no peon significance in this game. They're aggressive. They are definitely aggressive for what I've seen. They're flying over you and they're jumping like 20 feet in the air before they hit you, which is crazy. But in terms of the significance of the peons, I mean, you move to their side or you move around and you just big swipe, big swing. You're absolutely mopping people up. Guan Yu, from his showcase, of the small showcase that you had of him, he was mopping 600 people at once. 600 people at once. I mean, you clear that area so fast that they're less of just like genuine threats, and they're more just like fodder. You know, you're just sweeping them away to get to the next objective. So I'm hoping they make the peons a little bit more significant. You know what would be cool? Just a random thought. You know what would be cool if like maybe they do keep the 100 KO thing and they sweep away, but then one of the peons like step up, like, you know what? Nah, screw this guy. And he gets like a little bar above his head, and he becomes like amped up because of that. Like, you sweep 100 people away. Some people aren't just gonna sit there and take that. If you have like maybe some of the peons have like a little bit of a personality on their own, that'd be pretty sweet. That'd be pretty cool to see. It's definitely not going to happen, but it would be nice to see if that did happen. Next up, coming at number 5, I'm sure they're going to have some version of it. I really hope they do, because if it's very like linear, if the path to this game is linear, you just follow the story, you do a couple side missions, you get your weapons upgraded this way, and there's no real like challenge or something that you stumble upon, that's going to be quite disheartening to see. And that's the Easter eggs. And I talked about this in my other video, but Easter eggs make Dynasty Warriors, it made it fun. You stumble upon things, you're like, oh, I didn't know that's gonna happen. Or you walk into an area, and again, that black screen hits, that sound hit, and you're like, what is going on? Who's appearing? Who am I fighting? Who's this guy? Right? So I think the Easter egg cutscenes, Easter egg stages, maybe you do something, you complete a certain task in a certain way, and it unlocks a different path on that little map that they had, right? And you can go to a different area. Or in the Easter egg weapons, hopefully they bring back the egg hunts for the weapons. Those are always really fun to do as well. Maybe they also do that for the playable characters as well. So like, you can use that character and then like hunt for that weapon. That'd be cool, and then give it to your nameless guy, whatever it may be. But adding Easter eggs, giving those things that you don't really expect to happen, and having those little moments would be really cool to see. If they do it, they probably won't, but it's okay. Easter eggs would definitely be something I would like to see in the game. Next up, coming at number 4, I know this is going to be a concern. I think I've already seen some people mention this, so if they have and you guys already know about it, let me know down below. But it would be nice to see no excessive cloning of weapons, you know, piggybacking off the DLC thing of reselling old weapons. If they are reducing the cast, I don't understand why it would be harder for them to not have cloned weapons. Even if they were to borrow old assets, like from the old games, I'm like, let's go look at the old way that Huang Zhong fought, the way that Gan Ning fought, and let's give it to different people. Or, you know, the spear users or the pike users, whatever it may be. They can do that as long as they're not lazy about it. I just don't see why that would be an issue. I don't understand if we go into this game and most of the characters have a similar weapon style. You know, I hope that they don't do that. But then again, with eliminating some of the characters, maybe that problem will resolve itself. I don't know. I don't know how they're going to handle it. We'll see. I guess it won't even matter, because if we can't play them and they don't give us any leeway to play as the playable characters, they can just ignore clone movesets, because it won't technically quote unquote matter, because we can't play as them anyway. That'll be interesting how they handle that. But yeah, it would be nice to see if we can play as the playable characters, that they don't have an excessive amount of cloning weapons. Alright, next up, coming at number 3, now we have a good start to this. The trailer sounded pretty good for the English side, and that is good voice acting. Bring back the guys we love, please. You can't tell a great story without good voice acting. It's just not possible. It's a decent start with Dynasty Warriors with the trailer, because the guys sounded pretty good. So hopefully they are doing their due diligence in getting those guys that we need in the booth for the characters that we're going to be interacting with. Guan Yu and Cao Cao and, you know, Lu Bu and Zhao Yun and Liu Bei. Like, those people should be voiced by the people that we love, because it's just, that would be beautiful. I think fans would rejoice. I would rejoice. I'd be like, hell yeah, let's tell this story, let's get in, because that is what makes the game interesting to us. That's what we fell in love with the characters. They just fit their personality so well, and I just think that if they stick with Dynasty Warriors 9 voice acting, maybe they've gotten better, you know, maybe, and not better, but like maybe, you know, KT will let them actually do their diligence and give them the best that they can to dub the characters correctly, because maybe they didn't have enough time to do it, and that's a definite possibility. I think I've read about that. So whatever they decide to do in terms of tackling the voice acting for the English dub, I just hope they do it well. That is all. And then coming in at number 2, I guess I've kind of already talked about with number 4. And I think about it more, if we cannot, I mean, we can switch characters. So I saw the switch. So we can play with them at some capacity. I just don't know what that capacity is. So coming in number 2, overarching thing is an overall good combat system. So we got a couple of different things in this game. There's mentioning of like a parrying system, a defense system. Light and the heavy combos I think are coming back, along with the triggers on the bottom corner for like power attacks and stuff like that. So it looks like a pretty revamped and conglomerate combat system, which it sounds pretty fun. It sounds pretty cool. And the only thing I have to worry about is, again, going back to that, what I said about number 4, is the cloning of weapons. Even if the characters do have spears. Ma Chao and Zhao Yun have a spear in a lot of the games, right? And they fight differently. Ma Chao's style is completely different from Zhao Yun's style. That's all I want. That's it. That's all I need. Bring back a good combat system. Make it feel fun. Don't make it like Dynasty Warriors 9, because it feels like if you press the same buttons for every character, guess what? You're going to be playing the same. It feels like the same character every time, right? If we're all just doing the R1s or the RBs and pressing one of the triggers, every character is going to feel the same. But if we do a light combo, charge combo, and then we put it with, the high, like, how like, I think Warriors Orochi did it. I'm not an expert on that game just yet, but I think it's one of those games where you can put something together and then do like a little hyper attack, a little flow attack, and then coordinate it based on the buttons that you press and the character, the way they flow into it. So I'm hoping with less characters, it's easier to differentiate between each character's fighting style. That's it. That's all I want for the combat system, and of course, it not feeling the same as every character. And then finally, number 1, I can make a whole separate video on number 1 because the depth that you can go into with this is limitless. And that's being adding really good hypotheticals, a really good story narrative, And I know they mentioned like kingdom changes already, like you can change kingdoms, I think, and you can change how your character goes or where they go. I want like believable reactions to what your character decides to do. If you start with Cao Cao and you go to Liu Bei and you try to go back to Cao Cao, if that's an option, right? That's not going to be an easy transition. Why? Because Cao Cao's not going to trust you. He's not going to like you. Xiahou not going to like you, right? If you like Xiahou, if your character is getting close to Xiahou, Guan Yu's not going to have a feeling about it. He's going to probably be cautious. I don't think Guan Yu has like a hatred thing. But if it was flipped, if you're friends with Guan Yu, guess who doesn't like you? Xiahou. He doesn't like you anymore. He doesn't like Guan Yu. It's very evident from what we've seen so far about these two characters. So I really like to see how your decisions as a character will affect you moving forward. I believe what people have said about the trailer or the gameplay trailer was that Guan Yu's asking you questions to assess your values. That's a great start. Cool. How does that affect you moving forward? Do you say things that makes Guan Yu like kind of off-putting to him? And he's like, I don't know if we can be that close. Or maybe you say things that make you you are close to him. Or maybe you meet somebody else and they ask you certain questions, you get closer to them. Some Jian, right? Are you there with him and Liu Biao and, the whole ambush from Huangzhou, right? Are you there for that? And do you save him? Do you become friends with Sun Ce? And then you're like, you know what? I'm starting to divert a little bit, and you meet Zhao Yun and you're like, I kind of want to see what this happens. What happens with Zhao Yun? So you go there. So Sun Ce now feels betrayed. The number 1 thing I want to see in Dynasty Warriors Origins is just not, again, I've already mentioned it, not a linear path to the end of the game. I want to be able to replay the game and have a different viewpoints and not just get to the same ending for the same kingdom. And I want it to be unique and different. And I know that's a lot to ask for potentially, right? It takes a lot of effort to create different endings and hypotheticals based on what the player does. But if they're trying to make Dynasty Warriors great again, right? Make Dynasty Warriors great. They're trying to do that. They got to make it good. They got to give us something that we haven't seen before, right? And that's the hard part about Dynasty Warriors, is because we're telling the same story over and over again. So where does the leeway come in? Hypothetical. That's where they come in. They're fictional characters. Make the fictional path. And I think that if we are given things that we've never seen before, that is what makes us come back to the game and enjoy it. And you also can get new people too. You can entice people to come into the game and give it a shot. And I was like, yeah, that was a great story. That was fun. It was a great RPG game, and I had no idea that I was going to end up, with Wei at the end, right? Whatever it is. And I just think that if they take that route, take a very passionate route to developing the game to where you don't know what's going to happen, that is going to be an exciting experience for old and new fans alike. And that's the number 1 thing that I want to see in Dynasty Warriors Origins. But anyway, guys, that's all I have for the video here. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys are, what do you guys want to see in the new game? Are you looking forward to anything? Is there anything about the gameplay or the trailer that you've seen that's excited you, right? And is there something that you really want to see brought back in the new Dynasty Warriors game? I know it's going to be mainly focused on this new guy, but these are just some things I would like to see added, right? It doesn't have to be about the playable characters, fine. We'll wait for Dynasty Warriors 10 to do that. But give them a little something and make it different, make it unique, make it something where you want to play the game again, and you're like, okay, I want to see what happens if I do this. That's what I want from a Dynasty Warriors game. But anyway, guys, that's all I have. Let me know what you guys think about that down below. If you enjoyed the video, definitely appreciate a like or a subscribe. Definitely helps out the channel. And that's all I have, guys, and I will see you all in the next video. Thanks for watching, everyone.